Good evening and welcome to Foxborough's Conservation Commission meeting of November 30th, 2020. Meeting with all Governor Baker's COVID-19 standards. So our Zoomers want to check in. Jeff? Rich? I see Rich. Okay, is anybody else zooming in? Okay.
No. Jeff, see anyone else?
All right. Well, Jeff will come in later, I guess.
Oh, there's Jeff.
Here he is.
Okay, there's Jeff. Can you hear me, Jeff? I can't hear you. Nope, he's on mute.
Hey, Bob.
Okay, you're in. All right, thank you.
Yep.
I don't see anyone for public comment. Jim, until Jane gets down, you got some minutes?
I do. Let's start with the 27th of July. I have just a few changes. Most are just grammatical changes. There were two questions I had. There's a paragraph in here that starts with Miss Gluck. This is the first page. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4 down from up from the bottom. Miss Gluck feels that this shouldn't impact the floodplain. I would think it would be shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then on the other page, second page, starts with Rich. Jeremiah of 20 DeSantis Drive asked if all the work would be completed. Is that by some date?
Dance Drive, that was a long time ago. I don't know why.
I would say by a certain date.
Okay.
That's all I have for that. That set of minutes. Anybody's got any other?
Nope. Do I make a motion as
make
amended?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for July 27th.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
I have the September 9th, 2020 minutes. I don't have any changes to those, unless, does anyone have any revisions, modifications, changes, nothing? All right, I'll make a motion to approve the September 9th, 2020 meeting minutes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have the September 21st, 2020 meeting minutes. Again, I don't have any changes. Anyone else? Any revisions? Modifications, changes, nothing? All right, I'll make a motion to approve the September 21st, 2020 meeting minutes.
Do I hear a second?
Aye.
Discussion?
Second. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? None?
That's all I have for tonight.
All right. Jane,
Hi.
got some general business before we get to 7:15?
Yes. I didn't review any of those minutes, I don't think, by the way. Not that it matters. I've got four requests for partial and complete certificates of compliance that are old and confusing. And I don't understand them, but so the two for Annette Road, Diana looked into those. She says they look good.
Two different parcels or just one?
No, it's the same parcel, and they asked for a partial, but they didn't say for that lot only, which was confusing also. But so
Okay.
that one, the two Annette Road ones, I think are fine because they're not even close to the actual wetland on the site, which is on Route 1.
Yep, okay.
But I did put continuing, because they asked for partial, I did put continuing conditions, which basically are the ones that say, don't do this, don't do that, don't do the other thing. It sounds like there was a lot of testing that needed to be done there or some such thing in the past. I think it used to be Rodman's. Is that true?
Yeah, that's Rodman, yeah.
Okay. I think a lot of it maybe doesn't apply anymore, but. So I've got 2 for Annette, and then since Mr. Buckley is here, maybe he could explain all this craziness for the Panis Road ones.
Well, why don't we
Annette Road first?
do Annette Road, so we,
All right.
so somebody want to make a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance for 157109?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. DEP file 157138, also on Annette Road. Another partial certificate of compliance. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second. Aye, second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? None? All right, now we can go to Panis Road.
Here's this one.
So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. For the record, my name is Bill Buckley from Bay Colony Group, and I'm here representing the applicant, Mr. Nicholas Panagopoulos. And what we've requested this evening is 2 requests for certificates of compliance, and I'll just go in order. The first one is 10 Panis Road, and it's DEP number SE 157166. So this order of conditions was issued in August 1989. For those of you not familiar with Panis Road, I know you've been up there because we've done all that work on 35. If you take the right off Perry Drive, come in, take the right onto Panis Road, the telephone company buildings, that first one right there on the corner on the cul-de-sac, then you go in a ways, maybe 300 or 400 feet. And then the first building on the left is 10 Panis. So there's 3 buildings on the left side, 10, 20, 30. So the first one is 10 Panis, and that's the one we're talking about right now. That was, again, was issued in 1989. And the building was actually completed in 1990. And I'm gonna give you a little more background. So Mr. Panagopoulos is in the process of selling his land up there. And so, the same as Annette Road, the attorneys are on the title. They find, these old orders of conditions that have never been closed out. So in this particular case, this is the one here. This is 157166. But I can't remember this. So this was 30 years ago. So I went back into the files. Diane was nice enough to pull them out for me, and I went through them to try and get myself back up to speed. So I found a memo written by Dave Risch to me in February 2005, noting that the commission recommended that a certificate of compliance be issued, and I attached a copy of it. But we never have any record of it ever being issued. So what I've done is, now I'm requesting this evening, I filed the Form 8A, I filed the as-built plan that was filed at that time, and we're asking the commission to issue that order. That site, as I stated, has been completed for 30 years. There's nothing going on there. There's no expansion. It's 100% complete.
Okay, I got a question about that, because then there's another filing for the same lot from not too long ago that gets things a little bit complicated.
I think you're talking about 20 Panis.
Am I?
Yeah, you're right. 20 Panis is
Yes, that was the one that
It's
was
a little
making me tear my
complex,
hair out.
but 10 is done. There's nothing going on with 10. And I'll talk about 20 in a second. Jane is
Because
right.
there was an amendment to it. It was the order of conditions was amended, and I don't know to what extent that
You're not
was.
speaking into the mic if you're...
The order of conditions was amended, and you took that all into consideration, right? Because there were 2 amendments, only one was submitted. I mean, they're probably the same thing, because one's bylaw and one's state.
Right.
Is that for 10 or 20?
That's
10.
for 10. We're still talking about 10.
Okay.
And there was an amendment for it. But again, that was issued in 2001.
Right.
So Dave's, back in 2005, Dave had already noted it, and the commission had noted it. And again, in their memo from the memo that Dave wrote to me from that day, I can quote from it. Back in August 2000, this is from Dave Rich to me, February 9, 2005, back in August 2004, which was subsequent to the amendment. You requested a site inspection, issuance of a certificate of compliance for the above referenced projects, and he's referencing two projects. One of them was this one, 166. Due to confusion over these files, I recently had the commission review these, and they recommended that we issue a certificate of compliance for warehouse number 2, and have the planning board's engineer look into the drainage system of Panis Road, which is the other 195.
Oh, okay, there you go. All right.
195, so that's it. So 166 is completed. They call this warehouse 2. I don't know why, it was before my time. So the warehouse 2 is actually 10 Panis Road. So back then, the commission looked at it, and Dave says in it that they recommended we issue a certificate of compliance for warehouse number 2. So that's kind of what I'm hanging my hat on, and the as-built plan that we submitted at that time.
Okay, I'll hang my hat as well.
So you all set with it then?
I guess so for this one, yes.
Okay.
This is
All right.
T.
See, Bill,
Yes,
the stuff that we've done recently, was that across the street?
yes, that's 35 and
Okay.
45.
All right, I just want to make sure I know exactly which side we're talking about.
Yes.
Sounds good. Yep.
Okay.
Now, number 20 is the one that is associated with the replication area across the street.
Well,
Yes.
let's handle.
No,
10.
I'm just double checking because I knew it was one or the other.
Okay,
Right. Yeah. Yep.
All right.
okay. So if somebody want to make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 157-166.
I'll make that motion, Bob.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
I,
Opposed? None? All right. Now we go to 20.
Okay, so 20 Panis Road was, that was permitted under the DEP number 157129, and again, that was in 1992. So that was,
Now, why was the number,
why is this warehouse 1?
well, no, but the
29.
file number 129 versus 166.
I think, so they call this warehouse 1.
Okay,
So I think this was permitted, I think this was the first building they put up there. So they called this warehouse 1, even though it's 20 Panis Road. So that order would be issued first, I guess.
Okay.
So that's why it's before that.
okay. But yet the date is, well,
Oh, you know what, I'm sorry, it's 1987.
okay, all right, that makes,
Yes, 1987. So this order was issued
okay.
129 in 1987.
All right, that's a lot better than 92, so that was my confusion, was
Right.
the years.
I'm sorry, 1987. It was in 1992 that we asked the commission to issue a certificate of compliance. And again, I went back through your files because, quite frankly, our files stunk back then. And this was actually, we didn't start either of these projects. They were started by another firm, and we came in and took them over. So the really early stuff is incomplete for us. So we came in and we issued, and we came in and we asked for a certificate of compliance in July 1992. So I went through the files and I found 2 unsigned certificates of compliance dated August 10th, 1992. but they were unsigned. So I'm like, okay, and are these just blank copies or whatever? So again, actually Jane this time gave me her big thick book of all the minutes. So I started going through the minutes, and I found the minutes that, I think it was an August 10th meeting, that the board, the commission did not want to issue that certificate of compliance until a site walk had been completed and an as-built filed. So what had been done is the architect had filed an as-built, which, being an architect, wasn't the type of as-built that you guys were looking for. It had more to do with the building. And that was in there as well. So we, and I don't know what happened after that. I don't know what happened after that. But I went back into my files, and we started doing an as-built back in 2015 again. And we completed it this month. Now, what Jane is talking about is in 2006, there was a alteration of this. So if you look at this building, if you stand here and look at the building, on the right side of the building is the loading docks to the front. Mm-hmm. There was a finger of wetland that came up. Do you remember this, Mr. Bodie? There was a finger of wetland. Okay. There was a finger of wetland that came up into it. So it was just a finger. They wanted to expand the loading dock. So the commission, we filed an order of conditions at that time, which was 157447. That's the next one you're thinking of. Okay. So there was multiple orders filed on this. We're not asking for that one tonight. We're just asking for the 129. Now, as part of that order of conditions, the commission said, yeah, and that order of conditions also included a parking lot across the street. I don't know if you remember that. So you had 20, if you look across the street, there's a parking lot there, plus we expanded the driveway. So that was the 447 order. As part of that order, for the replication was supposed to take place across the street to the right of the new driveway to 35 and 45, which at the time didn't exist. So if you looked at those plans, you would say, you know, proposed driveway or whatever. It wasn't even planned yet. We kind of knew where it was going. So that's where the replication was going to take place. And it was like a 20-to-1 replication because that's just the way it was. So we're not asking for a certificate of compliance for that order because that order is not complete yet. The replication has to be done. And that replication is also part of the 35 and 45 Panis Road. So again, we're not asking for those either because that was all on one order. So this one is for the original work that was done on the site. And it's the 157129 number. There's still an outstanding order for the site, and there's still an outstanding order, of course, on 35 and 45 Panis. I hope that was not grossly confusing.
Are you happy?
Sure.
You understand it now?
It makes better sense. I think I was the pain in the butt that maybe found the replication requirement when we were reviewing 35 and 40. I saw my notes in the file.
Maybe, yeah. We knew we always had to do it, though. It has to be done.
But what a horror show. Okay, that explains it, I guess.
Yeah, I remember.
And you're asking for a complete certification of 129.
Yeah,
okay.
But we still have the other one outstanding. So,
right,
yeah.
and that's where I was really confused. I
Okay.
thought, okay, this is not piecing together right.
Okay, so would somebody like to make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 157 and 129 20 Panis Road?
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
None? Ready? Thank you. And we'll see you
There you
back
go.
for 35 and 45.
I
Yeah.
hope so, soon.
All right.
Did the replication get, was it?
Hasn't been done yet. Hasn't been done yet. That's why it's still open,
What hasn't been done?
the replication. There's two replication areas over there. There's a, to the left is a buffer zone restoration, we called it, and to the right of the driveway is replication.
Okay,
That hasn't been done yet.
all right. So how does that impact whoever is buying the property? Was that
That's there.
order of conditions recorded?
Yeah, they know it, it's open, and we've gone through them all, and I've told them, no, we can't close that because it's not done yet, we can't close that because it's not done yet. So they
Okay,
know that.
okay. And what was the replication going to be done as part of the increase in size of the parking area or something like that?
No, it was that on the right side of 20, we were filling wetlands. It was a finger of wetlands,
All right, so was that done, the filling?
of course. Of course, that was the first, right?
I guess that's what I'm getting at. Okay.
Okay. So, you want to talk about Bragg Road, or?
I can give you a very quick briefing.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, good evening. I just saw it was on the agenda, so I'll just tell you, the owner has contacted us. We did a site walk, or I did a site walk with him to go down there. And we have retained Pear Corporation, and we'll be doing a site walk with Lauren Hastings, Lauren Gluck, on Wednesday. I think Wednesday. It's either Wednesday or Thursday this week. And she'll be putting together a restoration plan for the work that was done down there in the buffer zone area. And then once we have something on paper, we'll contact Jane and sit down with her and go over it with her. And then once she's satisfied, we'll bring it before the commission.
Good.
Excellent. And you're going to figure out where the boundaries are as well?
I don't think that was part of our scope, but I mean,
Because you might want to ask him, because that's one of the things that we asked him to do specifically, so that he knew where his property boundaries were, and so this didn't happen again.
According to old plans, it seems to be in private property between him and the town of Foxborough's parcel of land that goes into the Ponset Reservoir.
so his lot is oddly shaped. So if you're looking at the map and you were standing on the reservoir with your back, his lot comes down, and then down at the bottom there is 15, I think it's 15 Bragg Road, something like that. There's an old house down there that was redone, I think you guys must know because it was
Right.
conservation. That used to be a camp years ago. It was a dirt road that accessed it from Bourne Road. And then when they built the development, that got built. So his land, so you look at his lot, that piece of property is right in the middle. And he owns a piece to the left of that house and owns a piece to the right of that house. And then if you keep going right towards Edwards Road, there's like a 50 by, 100-foot piece of property that's owned by the town that I'm sure was an old camp that was taken by tax title. So,
Oh, you think there was a building on that property?
yeah, those were all old camps down. That's probably all the debris. A lot of it probably had to do.
Oh, okay.
A lot of it probably had to do with that. There was tons of those. Remember the years Hillside Ave was one after another, we were redoing all those camps down there. They're almost all, I think they're all rebuilt. But same thing over there. There's at least there's probably 3 camps there, 2 still up, and then this one right here, there's nothing left. So
'Cause I didn't see any evidence of anything. That's interesting.
yeah.
But because his site is not nice and, this line goes straight, this line goes straight, it's 35 feet wide, narrowing down, or what is it? 35 feet narrowing down to something, or widening out to something. I can't remember which.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
But on the old plan, it did show, it looked like iron pipe. So I don't know if the metal might still be there. He couldn't find it, but I asked him to look for it.
Well, we'll take a look. I mean, when we're down there, we'll take a look. Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Because that'll be important, because his property is not both lots. I mean, he needs to restore both lots, but his property is relatively small. So once he restores the Foxborough land, he really is going to have to just stay on his side of the fence or whatever.
But one of the plans doesn't really show that he owns the two adjacent ones. It shows that it's still connected with the bigger house up above him.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's what it is. No, that's what it is.
It's connected, you're exactly
It's the
right. It's
same.
not separate. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's
Like a pair of feet that come down to the
Yes,
water,
that's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
and then
That's
that
right.
house is surrounded by his property.
Yep, that's right.
And the person who owned that camp was the developer, correct? The developer's father? So if he
Yeah.
was going to develop the lot behind him, he would have made it so that his privacy wasn't completely destroyed, I would think.
No, that place was, it's always been it's not now, it's very nice. I was there the other day, but it was a dump.
Oh, the previous house, I saw it.
It was a
It
rental.
looked like it had potential, but,
It was a rental, they rented it out. It was Mike, Mr. Pacello, the grandfather,
oh, he never lived there?
no.
Oh,
He owned-
all right.
So that entire development was owned by Pacella.
I know that.
He bought that development, and everybody knows where the Dedham Mall is, right? The Dedham Mall was a swamp. He built that development as the Dedham Mall.
Great.
He bought that development to gravel it out to build the Dedham Mall.
Oh,
wow.
what?
Yeah, that's right.
Wait, what?
That's right. That's absolutely true. It was back probably in the 60s.
Wow.
And then just, he had the land left over, and then they developed it, I think in Tasha. Mr. and Tasha, not Michael, came in and built many of those houses. And then Rich came in, the son of Mike, and he built Bragg Road, and he built where I live on Thompson Road. So, yeah, it's got quite an interesting history. A lot of those camps up there on what used to be Camp Road was all Italians. You look at the deeds, they're all Italians. So, my mother's an Italian from Boston, so what they used to do, they'd come out here and buy these camps. They were just trails, there was no roads there was just paths and trails. If you look at the old plans, they had outhouses, and they had no water, and they would be out there and they would fish in the reservoir. They just walk down the reservoir. And then over the years, a lot of them, like on Garrett's Plain Road, the town owned one of them that was actually auctioned off, but then a lot of them were just let go and were, for nothing. Now they're going for ridiculous money in the raw.
Yep.
So, Bill, I have one question about the land configuration. It wasn't clear that both those legs went down to the water, all the way down to the water.
Yes. So you're right. It's if you look at the assessor's maps, or even the record plans that we drew, it shows the lots going down to the water line, but then it shows another parcel under the water. So the story behind that is, Jim will appreciate it, is when we were doing this, when we did the survey there, the title was horrible, of course. So there were old plans that were done that showed Pacella owning out into the reservoir. Just like across the street, a lot of those houses on Beach Street own to the middle of McTurnan Cove, where the old thread of the stream used to be. Well, Pacella's did too. So the attorney was Garrett Spillane, it was Mr. Spillane, and he looked at the title and said, there's no way I'm not going to convey out any land under the water. He didn't feel comfortable with the title. So the owner, Rich Pacella, retained those lots. So these people own to the reservoir, they're waterfront lots, but Rich Pacella still owns land under the reservoir, however many feet out it went. So that's the backstory to that, because the title was so vague. The attorney would not.
Is he paying taxes on that?
I looked the other day because my client asked me about that. So I looked at it, and he still owns it. And I would imagine if he wasn't paying his taxes, the town would have taken it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that for a fact.
They might not have wanted it. I think they tried to get rid of the land where the, let's see, what is it? It's not a conservation restriction, but it's the land across the street from the land on the water that the town owns.
Right, that
The
was all
commission
part
owns.
of the deal where I live on Thompson Road. That was done, am I holding you guys up? These are good stories.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
They, back in the 70s, what was it? The Hatch Act? What was the first conservation law?
Hatch or Jones or something.
Something like that.
Hatch, I think, yeah.
So back in the day, Edwards Road, when Pacella developed this again, I think it was in the early 70s. So you can look at the old plans, and the first phase was called Reservoir 1, coming in off of Beach Street. If you look at the old maps, you'll see coming in off Beach Street, there's Edwards Road. And then all to the right is Thompson Road, loops back through, and there was Form A lots on both sides of Edwards Road. But the thing was, he came in and filled that. Edwards Road is, as you can see, is a filled swamp. It's on both sides. It's swamp on both sides. So I guess prior to that, it was good stuff. You know, you filled in wetlands. And then somewhere around that time period, when that new law came in, somebody sued him. I don't know who. I don't remember the details. But there was a stop put on it. So he could not develop that. He couldn't keep filling and developing it. But if you walk out there, the infrastructure is in. The drains are in. You can see the roads were cleared.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. That's why I was curious about it.
Yep. So,
I've heard stories from our friend Ron Rogers.
Yeah, it's all back there. And then, so then what happened is he said, Edwards Road was built, so he said, okay. And then he pushed through, and he built the dry reservoir, which is most of it. Back in the late 90s, his son, Rich Pacella, he just wanted to develop the rest of the land. So he owned the pieces that Jane's talking about. The left side where the new ramp is, I'll tell you a story on that. And on the right side, as you're coming in off Beach, all the land that Jane was just talking about. And he owned one or two pieces on Hillside Ave. Again, falling down shacks. So in order to get the injunction lifted, Mr. Spillane dealt with Mr. Hawking and Mr. Bodie and the commission at the time, and they agreed with, okay, we'll let you build Thompson Road, 8 lots, which is where I live now. And then that last house, as you're coming in off of Beach, right next to the ramp, right past the ramp, there's that house kind of tucked back there, that house. So the 8 on Thompson and that one. And in exchange, he conveyed the land to the left, next to the reservoir, to the commission. To the right, some type of no build was put on that. I don't know the details. And on Hillside Ave, you own a lot on Hillside Ave, down to the water, that used to have a camp on it. It's gone now. It's just rubble. But the commission owns that. So that's how that all came about. And actually on the left, I laugh at this. You'll remember this. This is 1999, 98. One of the things that Mr. Pacella, Rich, offered to do was build the ramp and parking area. I have plans in there. And the commission said no. So the commission said no to that. So I don't know what the Neponset Reservoir people just paid to do what town could have got for free back then. But so I don't remember the reasoning why either, because that was always a launching area, always was. So yeah, those are the stories.
The good old days.
Yeah.
I was under the impression, because one of the Pacellas came in and said he wanted to have that, it's not a CR, I can't, that's some sort of easement to the town. He wanted to give it to the town in whole, because he didn't want to have to be paying the taxes on it. I said,
I think that was Rich.
I don't think that's going to fly. I got the impression that was, you've been bad, so you need to do this and pay taxes on it for the rest of your life, but I probably wasn't right.
So,
Okay.
any other questions
Thank
on 17? As I said, we'll be back in a couple of weeks, probably after the first of the year, and we can do the work in the springtime.
Is it stabilized
Yeah, it looked good to me.
with all the rain and everything?
Well, I was there last Tuesday or Wednesday. I was there after the rain last week. And it looked good. He had at least 2 rows of.
I know he did have 2 rows.
Silt socks were in. It looked pretty clean. There was still trash sticking up out of the dirt. Yeah, it looked all right. I didn't notice any erosion.
Okay. It'd be nice if there were sticks and such sticking up out of the dirt, because it looked like they scraped the soil enough so that there weren't any roots to the shrubs that he removed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Being 7:15, we have South Street parcels north of Ford, number 473. They requested a continuance to December 14th.
Right, but they're asking at 7:30 because Chris Lucas has another Zoom meeting at 6:40-ish. So he requested the later time. And that is the only thing I have on the agenda right now.
Okay.
So that meeting might not start till 7:30, unless something else shows up.
All right. We will accommodate him.
Good night.
Good night, Bill.
Good night, Bill.
But don't sit, you won't be back in again, will you? You're not coming in on the 14th?
Not right now.
Okay, have a very Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Wow. Yeah, that doesn't seem possible.
Fast forward.
I know.
Hey, that's all right. So, okay, continuance, December 14th, 7:30. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to continue.
Okay, second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Anything else, Jane?
No.
How about the 28th of December? Anybody gonna be here? Christmas is on a Friday, I believe. So this would be the Monday after Christmas.
Do we have anything scheduled?
Far ahead, no. So if we wanna cancel it, we can do it now.
Okay,
I may not be here.
It's a question mark for me as well.
okay.
I don't want to be here.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, this, unless it's absolutely necessary for something, yeah, cancel the 28th.
Because the deadline for that is when? In a couple weeks?
Probably.
Hopefully no one's going to want to file something new. And although someone was saying that they wanted to make a filing 54 Ridge Road, I had a site visit with the man who owns the property about a year ago, probably wants to fix or replace the retaining wall on the deposit. And he was going to have to pay a small fortune for it. And so I guess he was looking into different things he could do. And he sent me an email probably a couple months ago saying, have you received the filing yet? And I said, no. And then somebody else, I guess his representatives, the applicant's representative said something about it. And today Diana said, oh, they probably filed with the building department, the new, what is it, e-file or something? Online thing?
Online permitting.
Online permitting, and so I guess they thought that they were all set or something. So they will be filing, I'm sure, as soon as they can, and it looks like what they're proposing to do is just use, I can't remember, tie rods or something to keep it from falling in, but I don't really think it is going to be something a determination would be good for, because I don't think they're proposing any work on the opposite side of the wall, but how are they going to keep the soil out, where they're going to stockpile it, and all those things. It was a really, really tight site. So that may be coming. Of course, even if it does, we might say, please.
They probably won't be doing the work in January.
Well, I don't know, because with the water down
Yeah.
in the lake, I think that would be the best time to do it.
Yeah.
So how's the oil spill?
I don't know. I didn't check it or call today because it seems like everyone was involved, the DEP, the fire chief.
Yeah.
I don't know how that stuff works, Jim. Do you have any idea? I mean, you must.
Right, so there was an impact, to the lake? So
I would
floating
think.
Product.
Yeah. That's my
So they
interpretation.
put a buoy around it, or a boom around it, I should say.
Yep, I heard that.
And then they try to just suck it up. I mean, it's floating on the water, which is good. It's not a heavy metal,
Right.
or a type of hazardous material that will drop.
Mm-hmm.
So you can try to,
They suck some of it out.
Suck
Use
it up.
the pillows,
Yep.
the napkins
Yep.
also.
that sort of just pull it in. like a
Basically
sponge.
an oil spill, like,
Thing is the wind.
Then they
is
just
the
dispose
biggest-
of all that stuff.
what's that now?
The wind is the worst culprit out there.
Yeah, but it sounds like they got on top of it right away, although I don't know how they actually figured out that it was discharging through his sump or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it was doing that.
The question is it going to continue to break out into the lake?
Right.
How much oil was released that's going to continue to sort of migrate down into the water.
Yeah, I gotta
But what they
call.
do
But
is
they can just leave that boom up, and they just keep putting back, replenishing the
napkins.
the napkins, those sort of things. So they just keep sucking it up and sucking it up and sucking it up until it slows down or stops.
But you'll have to hire a professional through the cleanup people.
Does the
to clean
DEP
the
require that, I
lines.
take it?
What's
Does-
that?
Does the DEP require that, I take it?
Well, DEP, so you have your emergency response, which is the fire department and some sort of contract will come in and put this boom in and do some of the initial work. Then the DEP will send the owner of the property a notice that says you're required to, because you own the property, to clean this up. And you gotta hire a licensed site professional. So whoever the owner is going to have to hire this licensed site professional to come in. And they usually, depends on if they work for a big firm, if it's a small firm or solo, depending upon that, he'll have to hire a separate contractor, a cleanup crew that will stay on site, and the oversight from the LSP will continue all the way through the project until this thing's cleaned up.
So the DEP deals with that more
DEP sort of
than-
steps back and says, it's a privatized system. The licensed site professional has a license. He's been certified by the state to do the cleanup, oversee the cleanup. He's the one who sets up the plan as to how to clean up the oil. And they go through the phases. And initially, they try to stop any sort of imminent hazard, stop the migratory pathways so that they can sort of put their arms around it. And then after that, it's just sort of finding the source and finding where it's traveled and just clean it up.
DP's
So if they're
involvement is mostly approving the plan
right, so
and then sitting back and
exactly
reports.
right. So the reports will come in.
What we did.
They'll audit it and say, well, this isn't sufficient, or they'll check all the boxes and fine. The LSP is doing fine. They're gonna have to come in front of us if they're gonna do any work down there, though.
Well, basically, that was going to be my question. Now, thankfully, we haven't had a lot of this kind of a violation for me to know what to do. So I can't imagine at this point I would be filing an enforcement order, because it seems to me the DEP would be doing something like that, correct?
They won't get an enforcement order from DEP. He'll get that notice of responsibility, which is the letter that says you need to do this or we're gonna fine you. Or if we do the work, we're gonna
Bill you, yeah.
bill you and put a lien on your property.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, should I
You can issue an enforcement
issue an
action.
enforcement order for them?
Get them in front of us to just tell them what the work scope is gonna be. I think under the Wetlands Protection Act, isn't there a provision in there that allows for work under the MCP?
Like I said, I'm not really familiar with
so.
all of the nuances
Sure.
of this.
I remember when there was the release of, jet fuel or diesel fuel that was on.
495 or something?
Yeah, they were in front of us because there was a resource area there, right?
Yeah.
And who they? That was Mass
That was-
DOT probably, right?
That was some licensed site professional that was hired by the
Truck driver.
delivery, right?
Yeah, the truck driver's company or whatever.
Okay.
I'll look into the provision, see if there's, and send it to you.
See, worst comes to worst is that if they can't really clean out the pipe from the sump pump and he needs to replace it, which is probably the simplest thing to do. Then they might be in front of us for that small job to dig up the old one and replace it. I mean, there's really nothing much more.
Well,
There shouldn't be a
But
sump
where's
pump
the,
going out
is
there
it
in the first
is it
place.
an underground storage tank? It looks like a gas was on the, it looks, what was on the surface looked like gas, not
Was it
like
red?
a fuel oil.
Well, who knows what he's got there, because he's the boat guy with all of the boat
He's probably
fuels
got-
and stuff.
I mean, where's it coming from? Does anybody know? Is it an
Well,
underground tank?
You said that you got the report from Rich that it leaked into his basement and into the sump pump, so that'd probably be
Right.
heating oil.
Oh, really?
So he's got
Okay.
a-
Gas
That was
tanks
my
are
impression.
separate, they're out.
Okay.
So he's got an above-ground storage tank, probably in his basement, right? And
Uh,
it just leaked into his sump and then got discharged.
I
to the
see.
outside.
So it was
but
his.
one thing I would strongly suggest is that if he's got his sump pump going directly into the reservoir.
Yeah.
To redirect it.
The problem is, he has a site that's completely pervious.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so it seems to me if there was a sump pump going into the reservoir, that would not be too cool, but what if it's grandfathered?
He's got to stop using it at this point, right?
Either that
I
or
would
it's
hope
It's
so.
allowing for
You
the-
could discharge on top of that
Discharge
pavement and
it.
just go,
Well, he's got to discharge it into a
Dry well or
dry
something.
well
huh?
of
Yeah,
some sort.
right.
The
Directly.
question, how many more are these?
Yes.
Houses are there like this?
Good question.
A lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, because
and
my
nobody-
son just bought a house and his tank is nearly shot and he's got to replace it or remove it. And I'm sure there's a lot of houses on the Ponset that have the same sort of setup.
And no
Well,
one,
it's interesting. I was walking with my daughter at she has a house on a lake in Rentham, and we were walking around, taking a walk along the lake, I think it was Sunday after I'd found out about this, and there were some neighbors outside talking, and she was going back and forth. They were going to check the sewer outfalls and stuff, MS4, whatever. And I said, I told them about the oil spill, how it had leaked. And there were three people there. One of the people said, "Oh, everyone's got those on the lake, those old oil tanks." And the two others looked at him and said, "Oh, I think most of us have replaced them." So I said, "Well, food for thought. You may want to think about letting people know that, maybe you build a dam around them or something like that, like they require nowadays in some, for newer."
Yeah.
once
Auto
you get beyond
shops and
20
stuff.
years, you start getting a lot of rust because the water accumulates at the bottom. And if your tank is at 30, they definitely recommend get it out of there because you could have pinhole leaks that all of a sudden open right up. 'Cause
I
it's
think
all
we need a
water.
public education program for all of the lakes. I think all the lakes in town should have some sort of a large lake association because
Well, how
Well, the
about?
there's so many things to
NRC.
consider.
Yeah, the NRC does newsletters,
I know they do.
so
I
think
perhaps
this might
that
be
would
a
be a
good-
place to start.
Yeah, I'll mention it at the next meeting with them on the 10th.
Time for more education.
Yeah.
one of the biggest
Thanks,
problems,
Rich.
one of the biggest problems is these cleanups are so expensive.
Yeah,
And insurance doesn't provide coverage under most homeowners' policies, unless the state of Massachusetts has now required insurers who do business in Massachusetts to provide this endorsement, a rider, to allow for a certain amount of coverage for sort of liability, so if third-party liability and first-party coverage, but you got to buy it on top of your policy, which isn't too expensive, but no one knows about it.
So there's a
But
good, there's a good educational,
Right, and then you got to do all these upgrades to your system. You got to put a new line in. You got to, you're supposed to change your tank. So if you don't do that, you don't qualify for this. And then you have a release because your tank's 30 years old and you can't afford to do the cleanup.
and you never realized that that was not part of your
And no
insurance.
one tells you. There's no requirement.
Wow.
They have to, the language of the statute isn't great. So what the agents essentially do is they'll send you a letter and it'll say, here are all these different things you can buy. That's it. That's all the notice you'll get.
Wow.
You know, so they don't tell you, they don't explain to you what that actually is, and there's no requirement that someone sits down and tells you what it is.
Yeah.
So definitely education for especially the older houses, and saying,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
have one of these, please be aware that your insurance probably does not
Probably
cover
won't
it
cover it.
unless you're paying through the nose.
Unless it goes into the leg, which is, then you may get coverage, because now you've got a claim by, who owns the lake? Us, right? Or the town. So the
Yeah.
town is a third party bringing a claim against you for damage to their property.
No.
But do you know what that doesn't do is it will pay to stop the oil. But all the damage on your own property, like digging out the dirt or putting new dirt back, that comes out of your pocket.
Wow.
Yeah, changing your oil tank's much cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
Like
And then putting some
did.
sort of emergency containment around them, too.
1,000, so.
Yeah.
But you gotta remember one thing, trying to get oil tank out of your cellar with the doors that are usually on these houses, it doesn't work. You have to cut it in half. Because that's what we
Or
had to
more.
do ours, we had to cut it in quarters to
Yeah.
get it out.
Still cheaper.
Yeah, still cheaper, and I think it's really important to get the
I
education out
replaced
there.
mine too.
Yeah,
Say you did, or you would?
I did,
Oh,
because, yeah, containment, I mean, why build containment? Just replace the tank. I mean, you can build containment too, but I wouldn't build containment for an old tank.
not
I would just
instead
replace
of.
the
I would
tank.
say replace the tank plus build containment.
They do have the double wall tanks now too, so it's.
Do they?
It's a tank within a tank, and usually those have alarm systems on it too. So if
Oh.
it breaches the first tank, it sets off this alarm that you know
Wow.
you have a leak.
Wow.
That's, not outside the tanks, but you can replace it right away.
So Rich, could you get after the NRRC on that, and if they put together some blurb about, you should probably do this, and this is why, would you let me have it,
Yeah.
and I'll post
He
it?
said
Yeah.
he would do it.
No, it would make sense. I mean, there's got to be other houses in the same situation, and
Oh, absolutely.
everyone in that lake has probably got a sump pump somewhere because they're so close to the water. And they shouldn't be going directly into the pond, and they probably are. So no, I'll mention it to them and see what we can't get in their newsletter.
Yeah, get the
and
facts,
Just
and,
kind of bring up the cost of not doing it,
Right.
so make it worth economically feasible to do it.
Yeah, no, a hazmat cleanup is very expensive. I went through it with my store for a small issue that with the cesspool backed up. It was only a few gallons, but it cost me quite a bit.
wow. And oil is pretty
Insurance
bad.
doesn't cover any of it. Won't cover any of it.
Wow.
Once the oil gets into cement, it's almost impossible to get it out. Even with the solvents they use, you cannot live in a
Yeah.
house. You have to leave it. And if you got kids and elderly, you have to leave it.
Get out, really? Wow.
Yeah, you get
Any
big
information
spills
you
in
can
the
throw my
basement.
way, Jim? I can post it on
Newspapers.
Facebook or something. It sounds like this is everyone who has any kind of waterfront, anything, needs to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to put out some sort of educational brochures to everybody who's on a pond or a wetland, but maybe an intern.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Everybody speak at once.
Okay.
Canoe River should be flowing tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
We should be getting about 1.8 inches, almost, maybe 2, but, in this area,
Wow,
that's what they're saying.
wow.
Yep.
Oh, and then there are
By
a
the
couple
way-
site walks this week.
Tomorrow morning, are we still on at 11 o'clock?
If it's raining, is it supposed to rain tomorrow?
I think it's
In the
supposed to
beginning,
No, oh,
clear
If
out
it's
by
raining,
11.
they will probably want to put it off, but then there is the
wait.
December.
What's
We got a
going
D-
on tomorrow?
is that,
East Belcher Road,
They're going to be
Oh,
widening it.
you guys, okay. Yep,
and then the DEP on Thursday
Right.
Thursday at 11.
Yeah.
11 o'clock.
Now, do we have, who's going besides me?
I am.
Do
Which
we
one's
have
on
to post
Thursday?
that?
Green
I don't
Street.
know, wouldn't be a bad idea. Would you post,
East-
would you
East Street.
post it?
That's what?
It's
East Street,
East Street.
DEP site walk?
At 11 o'clock on Thursday.
So that's different on East Street?
The East Street, that's for the request for superseding order. So the DEP is now
For the ANRAD.
Oh,
dealing with
that's the
the
one
appeal
that they appealed?
for the ANRAD,
The
yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
NRAD, SORAD, whatever.
The ORAD,
ORAD, all these acronyms,
I know.
so, all right.
Jane, what was tomorrow?
Tomorrow is at 11 o'clock. I sent an email to see where they want to meet, and I haven't received
Okay,
a response
so we
yet.
don't know yet.
And I thought they were going to be widening Belcher, not East Belcher, but then I saw East Belcher on Chris's email, so I don't know.
Now, which is,
It's on Ridge Road.
What?
That subdivision, that new one that we walked.
River Ridge.
River
River
Ridge.
Ridge, yeah.
It's all along there.
Yeah, I had heard it was Belcher that they were going to widen, but it seems to me his email
All the
said
way
east.
to the Mansfield line?
I would assume so. I don't know.
They said something about cutting into that ledge and
Right,
also,
that's the only thing that sticks in my mind too.
Yeah,
yeah, and then we wanted to have maybe a place to pull over to walk the conservation land before you hit that ledge.
yeah.
But like I said, I think he said East Belcher Road, so now I'm kind of scratching my head.
Okay, well, give me a phone call if it's postponed or whatever, and let me know where they want to meet,
Right,
because I won't have my computer on.
all right.
Do the same.
Okay.
Thank you.
Turn your computer on. No, I
You
know.
just send me an email.
What's that? I can send
I
it
said
to
you could
you?
just send me an email. My computer's always on.
All right.
All right, other than that, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
All, yeah, it's been seconded, all in favor?
I,
Opposed? None. Thank you.
Good night.
good night.
Good night, all.
Good night, everyone.